Okay, I am joined by Chris Trick, Senior VP, Chief Marketing Officer at Red Lion Hotels Corporation, coming to us from Denver, Colorado. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jason. How are you?
I'm well. I'm okay.
It's good to be on with another fighting Texas Aggie.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, yes, it is.
To get us started, why don't you give us a rundown of who Red Lion is?
Okay, great. Thank you. Red Lion Hotels Corporation, we're a top 10 global hotel franchise. We're one of North America's most value-conscious franchises with about 1,000 properties across 8 different brands, primarily in the mid-scale and economy segments.
And real quick, you stepped away from, you've been in the hospitality industry a long time, stepped away for a little bit, now you're back.
It's hard to step away. I'd been in the industry probably 25 years or so, and then had been out of the industry for the last 8 years, working with other multi-brand franchise organizations. But I guess once it's in your DNA, it's just hard to get away. So, this opportunity with Red Lion presented itself, and here I am.
Here you are, coming back in the middle of a pandemic.
Exactly.
That's good. Take on that challenge.
Hey, listen, there's nowhere to go but up.
That's true. Yep. So hoteliers have been talking about breaking down the walls, right? Silos between revenue, sales, marketing for a long time. And from what I understand, you've made a little progress. You've made some changes. Why don't you talk to us about that strategy and how that's working?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. And, being new to the role and new to the organization, there's really a couple things to consider. Number one, of course, is the devastating, effects of the pandemic and how organizations are having to kind of refocus operations and restructure their organizations. But then also kind of on a more macro level, and what's happening across industries is the evolving nature of the CMO role, where we used to be more of a chief storyteller, if you will, to a role that's really focused on growth and business outcomes and business performance. So, coming into the role, one of the things we wanted to look at is, how can we align those revenue generating functions under one umbrella, to move from functional silos, reporting into disparate areas, into an organization that's more integrated and more aligned, and where collaboration is more critical to your success. All of these various functions that tie to business growth, business performance, and revenue generation for our franchisees.
So, what would be the ideal structure, in your mind, at least for a large organization like Red Lion?
Well, I can speak to Red Lion, and I can tell you when I looked at the organization, I think there were a number of things happening. There were some silos and kind of different strategic priorities across different functions. So for us, it was really about aligning those functions across revenue management in total. So for us, we brought together brand marketing, loyalty marketing, global sales, distribution and e-commerce, and revenue management. All that have natural synergies and natural dependencies across each other. Now that we can operate as sort of one integrated, cohesive team, supporting each other, through that process. So it was really kind of about bringing it under one umbrella and really aligning on our core strategic objectives.
What about the brand level? How should a hotel structure operations?
Well, there's so much to consider, as you know. There's so many variables from type of hotel to the segment they compete in, to the particular market segment and markets they serve. But, across the board, and really as a result of the pandemic, hotels are having to rethink and restructure operations to kind of meet, where we are today. If you look at the statistics out of the HNLA, 65% of hotels in the industry are still below 50% occupancy. So hotels are having to kind of rethink operations to address and meet that lower demand and that lower occupancy. So again, hotels are doing a lot of what we're doing. They're becoming leaner, more cross-functional, and I think people are having to wear multiple hats. Some of the other statistics we hear are that, 9 out of 10 hotels across the country have had to lay off individuals or furlough individuals as a result of the pandemic. And today, 4 out of 10 employees are still not back at work. So, we've had to get leaner in terms of our organizational structure, but really it varies based on market, type of hotel, and the segments that they compete in, things like that. Our hotels are largely in secondary and tertiary markets, roadside hotels. So, I think we're sort of well positioned for the recovery.
Yeah. So this aligned strategy that you have, what do you hope to accomplish with that strategy?
Well, importantly, it allows us and it facilitates strategic alignment at the very top of the pyramid. As an organization, we're all aligned around an initiative we call ROAR, which is really kind of a strategic focus on, recruiting new franchisees, opening them, adding value through shared services and marketing programs and things like that, and then retaining our franchisees. So everything we do across each of our strategic functions needs to be aligned to that corporate North Star, that strategic piece. So I think with this, you get kind of greater strategic alignment, and it helps us prioritize what we're working on within each of those strategic functions. And I think the other thing I could point to, as I mentioned, it's been a terrible year for the industry, but through the pandemic, this new, more integrated and aligned structure and our highly targeted, highly focused approach has allowed us to perform and actually gain market share through the pandemic. In fact, for Red Lion, across our industry, across our company, we actually have seen about a 13% growth in our RevPAR index. So it's really about, getting leaner, getting more organized, more aligned, and really kind of focusing on, your corporate vision.
All right. With the time we have remaining, about 60 seconds, any advice for hoteliers continuing to go through the pandemic?
Well, one thing I've known from my many years and back in the industry, it's that this is a resilient industry, and we will come through it. It is pretty dark out there now, but there are some signs of optimism on the horizon. One of the things I've been so pleased to see is how the industry has rallied and aligned together through the efforts of AHOA and HNLA and even HSMAI, and kind of, while we are all competitors, there's a place for all of us in this industry, and how we've kind of rallied together, I think we'll come out the other end.
All right, sir. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
You bet.